Verdun is a weird game. I still return and play it every so often, but this time around I did something different. After a couple of hours of grinding in the trenches and at Verdun, I decided to play the other game, Tannenberg. Looks almost exactly the same, but the experience is vastly different. Here I have no family. There's no French or English voices like in the Western Front. We have German and Russians and other languages from the Eastern Europes. The uniforms go from neat and clearly identifiable to multiple shades of brown and blues for both sides. But unlike the static trenches, you get to know every nook and crannies. You have vast woodlands and strongholds in the mud or the snow or just at night. The general gameplay is much more engaging. It's not just 30 minutes of sitting around playing shooting dogs. It's 30 minutes of running around endlessly with a massive lead of points and still losing the game. Isonzo will bring a brand new approach to the game. We will play in the treacherous mountainous region surrounding the Isonzo River. The armies will be shades of greens and blues. Look like we also have player constructions and intense CQBs, but the game is on a fragile path. If we look at Verdun and Tannenberg, the games are truly enthralling when the enemies are mostly humans and not bots. And Tannenberg's biggest issue is the thinning player base. If you play on the evening, you might have one potable lobby, maybe a smaller, but outside the regular after business hours, no more. Verdun on the other end is doing amazingly well currently, but the game has been available for free on Epic Game for a while, so that gave a breath of fresh air to the game series. But the interest did not bleed much into Tannenberg. If it did though, it kind of scares me to imagine the actual player base of Tannenberg. With Isonzo slated to release by the end of the year, it doesn't really inspire me much confidence in the potable future of the game in the series. While technically they're three different games, they're the same. Let's just not kid ourselves. It's evident from the game that they're very similar, and there's no reason to expect the third to not be on the same path. So why not merge all the titles into a single one so we have a larger bassin of players? Each of the titles will become their own DLC in their own rights. So if a player has both games, they will access all the map from the same launched game. So they could go from Argonne to Romagna in 2 consecutive matches, which would remove a lot of the dullness of the gameplay frankly. But then we get into the challenging part of that decision. What happens if a player only has Verdun? If the map is Picardy, then they just play like they would with all the features. But if the map is from Tannenberg or Isonzo, what will be the consequences? If you are EA or Activision Blizzard, you just kick the player out and tell them to buy the DLC, right? But we ain't like them. We can't just kick out players in an already small community. So here is what I think Isonzo needs to be successful. It needs a player base. And the best way to gain it is to steal it from Verdun by making them both DLCs of the same game. The answer on how you handle the players without DLCs is simple to me. You create a new loadout of Conscript, which only grants access to the low tier rifle that still can one-shot kill, and you can maybe also add in the bayonet just for the fun of it. And at that point, just make the game free to play as a Conscript. The DLCs will sell themselves to the players.